This is how you can animate the camera in, I almost said Mermaid Lagoon, in Moon Animator. I am currently in, well, it's not that old, but I was about to say my old film set from Captain's Call, but the pirate ship set from Captain's Call. Oh, there you go. As you can tell, or I don't know if you can tell, field of view is like very zoomed in, and that is how you can get like these really like cinematic kinds of shots. If we open up Moon Animator, oh yeah, and you'll also notice that I have a bunch of these duplicates here. I'll just explain how that works in another video, but now that we're in the Moon Animator, I shall now talk about like the most important thing when it comes to animating the camera, and that is called the field of view. Well, there's also depth of field, but field of view is basically just how, here, let me just show you how close you are to the subject. But it's really key because like you see how it kind of just becomes like weird, it just comes kind of a little deformed when it's like too zoomed out. But when you go to like FOV of like 35, it looks more polished basically. And that is how you get shots like this. Okay, I'm gonna have to put it back to what it was originally. It was at 23 originally, but that is how you can get little shots like this. Her eyes were supposed to be closed, but if I had the right facial animations, her eyes would have been like closed at first. So you basically just get stuff like this. Yippee! Oh, little Annie. So with the field of view, you like make a keyframe by pressing on the equal key on the keyboard, and then you just click on the keyframe. You can just adjust it there. This easing style basically changes the way the camera moves from point A to point B. So if you go to like linear, it's gonna look more like that. Okay, this is already linear. But if I try cubic, it moves it like that. Or if I try circ, it moves it slower like that. I usually do in and out as well, because it just looks a lot, yeah. If we go into linear, for instance, this is how it looks like. Just a lot smoother. So you just play around with a bunch of these easing styles, pick your favorite, and have fun with that. And now I'm going to just do a quick little thing here. So let's say I just want like a cool like zoomed in shot of them walking around. If I double click on here, it makes a keyframe. You move the slider down a bit, and then if I want it to like go over here next to this, to the cannon, double click. You can either double click or click on the equal key on your keyboard. Press on space to play the animation, and then that's what that looks like. That's how you animate the camera. And if you want it to go a little bit faster, you can just move the keyframes closer to each other, and then it goes a little bit faster. I want to go a little bit faster, so, and if you press the Control and H, it takes away the animator. Press on spacebar to play it, and it moves it faster. And that's basically how you just do the camera. Make sure to set it to none if you don't want it to immediately go to the next keyframe. This button prevents the animation from looping. This is what happens when you have the easing style set to linear. It'll just do one continuous motion until it reaches the next keyframe. So, like this. And it circles around the character like that. But if I have this easing style to none, it just stops it and basically pauses it. Those are how easing styles work. And now I'm gonna show you a bit of depth of field. If you go into lighting, usually you might not have it in there, so in order to add it, you just go with plus and then just type in depth of field, and it will just add it in there for you. All you gotta do is just press on this plus sign to add it into the animator. And honestly, there's like a bunch of these effects that I still sometimes forget exactly what each of them does differently. You can change the settings in like the Explorer here, but it's a lot easier to just do it straight on from the animator. These are all the settings, and if you want to add more settings or remove some settings, you just press on these buttons here, and you know, just select on what you want. These buttons here are also used to inactivate focus distance or deactivate focus distance. It won't work when you play it back. See, now there's no depth of field at all. But if I have now enabled this back on, everything will be working. See how it's all blurry? It basically blurs out certain objects or portions of your screen. And this basically toggles all of this to work. You can toggle them individually or completely turn them all off and on with enabled. That's the difference with that. I'm just gonna turn that back on. Put in here in her little bald spot. I mean, the old tutorial I have it explains each setting for the depth of field effects. The general gist is that depth of field just blurs out certain objects from the camera, like focus on one thing at a time, so there's not too much happening in the background. I keep forgetting which one this is. This one just, it only blurs out Sabrina, but it keeps everything else within vision, so it helps to like guide the audience for them to look at what they're supposed to look at in the scenes. Or you can completely blur out this whole thing and then do like a cool shot where it comes into focus. But then it comes into focus on that, and just that's how depth of field works. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. There's a thing called the rule of thirds. In the camera, there's a thing called the grid. I started using this when I was animating Captain's Call, but basically it helps you just center the shot better. You keep the important objects and the intersecting lines, and then you fill the rest up with like any additional details. So I would keep it where Sabrina is and fill the rest up with like Molly and Annie in the background. A shot of the pirates right here. Or I have one of the pirates intersecting line. This would also just be where your eyes would naturally land on the screen. Yippee, it just looks better that way, more professional. Usually you would just click on C on your keyboard to activate that, but it's not working for me right now. But it's okay. It could just be the place because it's very broken. But that's basically the gist of how the camera works. I hope this helped you. Just experiment and play around, and you'll become an expert in no time.